Hello YouTube, Matt here from Forensics with Matt, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about the iOS Unified Logs. In today's video, there will be talk about how the Unified Logs work, where to find them, how to extract them, and some comparison between the iOS Unified Logs and other sources of data that you might want instead of the Unified Logs. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey everyone, before I start the video, I'd like to make a little promotion for my blog that I have here. So this blog, Forensics with Matt on Substack, is a place where I share information and thoughts about digital forensics, tech, and cybersecurity stuff. And I also have a second blog which I share information and ideas about philosophy and other things. But I like to mainly contribute to this one, and this one is the most well-developed one out of the two. And I plan for it to be a very big project with written posts for all of these videos here that I make on YouTube. So if you want to read some of these, if you want to read my written thoughts about iOS Unified Log, for instance, just search Forensics with Matt or click the link in the description. And if you like it, subscribe to it either as a free subscriber or a paid subscriber. And for as little as $8 a month, you can have peace of mind knowing that you're supporting an up-and-coming forensic investigator. And this support will help greatly in helping me get licenses to software and buy other things for this channel that I may want, like devices or upgrades to my computers or anything that can help forensic investigators do work with computers. So I hope you like this and you subscribe to it. Now let's get back to the video. Okay guys, so let's get started with everything. But before we get fully into everything, I just want to say beforehand, I want to give you guys a little spoiler as to what's ahead. So ahead you're going to see a lot of stuff about how the iOS Unified Logs can get very big and very unwieldy, and you have to do a lot of filtering in order to get data points that you want, as opposed to going through things like the iOS biome files and the iOS knowledgeC database. So the two latter things, the iOS knowledgeC database and our biome files, are a very much easier way at getting the data. And this is because, at least for the biome files and the knowledgeC database, they clearly mark things like, say, if you have music playback, you want to go to things like our now playing biome files, and in the knowledgeC database, just look for the app that's playing the music, and you'll be able to see when the activity was taken and for how long it was taken, and that is in the knowledgeC database. And you'll get to see more data like the title of the song or the title of whatever that you were listening to in the now playing, for instance. Now let's get into just looking at how to find these things really quickly. So there are quite a few tools out there to find these things. So first of all, I have a full image of my iPhone right here. And so this private 2 is the latest full of my iPhone. And to find biome files, you'll have a private folder. And so you go into var, mobile library, biome, and you'll be able to find every single aspect of the biome here in the biome folder. And then say if you want to go to Yeah, so streams are where I got my data from. And if you go into public and go down all of these ways, you'll see every single stream that you can find. So, for instance, for now playing, you'd have this, and you wouldn't want to go to remote, you would want to go to local, because most likely you're looking at local data from your device. But if you want to find something from remote, like say playing through earphones or playing through a speaker, then that's when you would look through these. But for our purposes, we're looking at on device, so we'd look at something like this. And to find knowledgeC database, you would go for okay, okay, okay. I went too far. So colledt knowledgeC.db. So the full file path for that is the full path for that would be, just let me collapse the biome. So it will be private var mobile library, and then colledt knowledgeC.db. And for the iOS unified logs, you can look at tools. Okay, let me find. You can look at tools like um. Okay, we don't need image anymore. You can look at my forensics tools folder. You can look at tools like UFADE, or the most recent one that I found, which I used in the blog post that I linked in the video or in the video description. Let me see. It's actually in a folder. This Lionel Notari post for the iOS Unified Logs v2 program. And you can use that, and that's what I will be sharing today. But before that, let me go into UFADE real quick, because UFADE is a bit easier. But before that, let me pause the video and go grab my iPhone. Okay, so I copied the path name for UFADE, and I'm going to show you how UFADE collects the unified logs and the system images. So I'm going to connect my phone to the computer, and you would have to trust the phone on the side of the phone if you'd have to trust the phone on the side of the phone if you okay, you would have to trust the phone on the side of the phone if you haven't trusted it already. And now let me open my terminal. I copy the path to UFADE, and so this is the GUI version of UFADE. And so let me close up my terminal. Actually, it doesn't make much of a difference, but so I'd save it to something like forensics tool. Okay, so my forensics tools directory, wherever that is. Forensics. And I say images. So I'll collect unified logs for this first. And this software says it should take some time, so I will cut this and I'll come back once the unified logs are captured. Okay, I was wrong that it would take a while. Okay, sorry, I was wrong that it would take a while. So it only took a few seconds, and you'll see that it's saved to a .log archive file, and we'll deal with that later on. But now I'm going to reacquire the phone, and this is the software that I used to acquire the iPhone, and it's fine. And so this will take a while because it's what, 24 gigabytes, and those 24 gigabytes will take a while to write back to this system. So I'll come back, and once I'm back, we'll go into these files and check them out and see what we find in the two areas that I said. The now playing SEGB files and the knowledgeC.db. Okay, our file system backup or the image taking is complete. And so I'll put this away for now. Pull my terminal back up and yeah, fully closed out the process in this terminal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to where I'm going to go to the next place where I put my iOS unified logs. Okay, actually what I have to do first before I do that is I have to go into the folder that it actually came out of first and tell you guys how to actually use it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here, pull up a terminal, or pull up my terminal. You can see, go into that one. And so we're going to go right here. So what you need to do first is install all the requirements with pip.me or with the pip in your Python. And to run the script, you have to, or to run the one that you just saw for acquisition, you need to use this command that's provided in Lionel Notari's. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go to this one first. So I'm gonna go to, so this is where you find this tool that I'm using, Lionel Notari's site. And so it just documents everything, and you'll go down to the bottom all the way down to this bottom over here, whenever it stops, and you'll download this zip folder and extract it to get the folders that I have. So in order to run the extraction and the acquisition of the logs from Lionel Notari's tool, we're going to use that one in a terminal opened up to the folder called acquisition, and Python 3. And then we'll go into parsing. Okay, it opened up and it is on my other screen. And my log archive is going to be in this folder, in the folder that I put it in. So I'm going to go to forensics, images, and the log archive of 1.05 gigabytes. And then I'm going to do July 7th at from 1400 to 1430. Because that is when I was using it. And then I need to save the results in, and we go to save the results in, what's it called? Under unified logs, and we will call this video logs for now. Map P case 1, I selected everything, and yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this while it writes to the file. Oh, never mind. So then I'll just open that up in my DB browser for SQLite, and the reason why I'm doing this is all logs. And you'll see down here that there's 2000, okay, no. Yeah, there's 2,707 events. And there's a lot of stuff. There's Wi-Fi events, there's Blackboard, there's touch events, this screen was touched a bunch of times. The backlight was changed. And we don't see evidence of anything actually being used. Okay, actually, I should probably get this with Lionel Notari's tool because that might make it better. So I'll copy this one for now. Case number 1. Okay, and under iPhone logs, and I want to save to the folder. Under forensics and images under unified logs. And I'm going to say 2025 dash 0707. So the time on the date of making a video that I want to have my log start from is 2 o'clock p.m. because that's when some of the stuff unified log extraction completed. And so I wanted to make it start at 2 p.m. because that's when I started my stuff at okay, so that's the log archive file. And so I need to copy this now. So I'll throw this one over here now. And then I'll go to my log archive file that I captured. Select folder to put this in. And I'm going to parse the logs now. So we'll let that run. And I don't know if it'll take too long, but I'll just leave it there for like a few short seconds. And if it takes longer than a few seconds, I'll come back to when it's done. Okay, it didn't take so long. I'll go back to my DB browser. Okay, that looks like a better log. So you'll see now that there's a nice sampling of all events here. So your location services, you have things like config, you have like things like data, you have things like, I'll just go down really quick, and you have a million events right here. So we can further, so you have an app radio garden right here. You have radio garden, it's going between, yeah, all of the radio events at this point around 2:27 p.m. were me going between different places. And I think towards the end of this, I was going on Radio Garden. I was playing the same station for a couple of minutes, and you'll see that. And you'll see that tasks and things were created, and you'll see up here task identifier. Okay, I'm just rolling. And you'll see a lot of events from Radio Garden going on, but see at this time you have nothing in there that it says playing a certain station or something. So shutting down. And I was also listening to the podcasts app. And you'll see even podcasts has over 15,000 events here. So there's a lot of noise got purchased channels. So I think at this point, MAPI, at this point, at some point during this activity of podcasts between 2 and 2:30 p.m. in my time zone, I went between the search and I went between the search and all of the podcasts that I'm actually subscribed to. So at some point, there would be a process here. There would be a process here that says something like going or updating podcasts. Yeah, updating podcasts like this. So that's essentially how it in the background it updates all of the podcasts that you have in your subscription so that you have the latest episodes there. And so yeah, it updated all of the podcasts that I have. And at some point I started playing a podcast. I was looking through the podcasts and I started playing a podcast about Ibn Sina, a Muslim philosopher from the 10th century AD. So I was listening to that podcast at some point and I listened to it for quite a while. So for fear of being too long with this, Updating podcast feed, so I'm still getting through the updating of the feed. And so yeah, you'll see if you look at the podcasts app for yourself, the data that it leaves behind, it points to, oh, digital forensics. We'll add up a, ooh. I have not seen these things before in my testing of this. So I found something new. I found that it actually adds episodes to things. Yeah, so you see here that episodes were added. Techno Training and Truths from the Digital Forensics Now podcast. And add episodes from when reading feels overwhelming. So, and that one was from a podcast by a guy named Robin Walden called, let me pull that up. Let me pull it up. It's called A Mug of Insights. A Mug of Insights by Robin Walden. And so, yeah, episode seeing completing transaction. Yeah, so it's syncing from the above servers. I'm looking for play and validating playback queue. Episode sync successful set transaction. Yeah, in a future video when I go over unified logs again, I'll find podcasts and podcasts foundation controller. I'll find what actually constitutes a play, pressing the play button of a podcast, because I and so now I'm gonna go into music. Library menu. Actually, better yet, Okay, so yes, it actually does show when music is played here. So I have a music artist named Philip Holm, and yeah, you see Philip Holm right here, and you'd see that it actually shows the file that was played and how when it was played and when it was played by. So, and this was being played at 2:10 p.m. And so yeah, I don't think this didn't, this somehow didn't show for playing, but it did sync the episode of Let's Talk Religion that I was talking about earlier that I was playing. So now with that being said, I think we're done with that. And I can go over here and I will cut this and make sure that I have the image in the right place. And I'll go in to compare my knowledgeC and other stuff from the biome to what we just saw and to what I know. So see you back when I verify. So I'm back here with the image. I have the image correctly set out and it's its private folder, and I expanded out var, and I will expand out mobile now. So we'll go first to mobile library, not biome, but core duet and knowledge. And open knowledgeC.db in here. And go to the Z object. And so I just want to show you that towards the end of it, so there's usage and now playing artifacts. Okay, we'll just copy that timestamp there and go to Cocoa coordinated timestamp converter, and we'll put that in here, Control V. And so we'll see 21 minus 7 is 13, 14. Yeah, so that aligns with 2:23 p.m. my time, which was the last time that podcast was played. the end date. So the end date for this activity, I'll copy that. I'll put and 2:10 p.m. is when that started being played. Or when that stopped being played and it was started. The play was started at okay, that's a long time ago. Okay, let's go to this now plan event and see that on the date of on the date that the video was recorded on July 7th at 12 p.m. it was started. So, and this does not give us any information here about what actually was happening. And actually, this would give us all the sources of things, but this is not what we want. Structured metadata is. So at the end of my log is when all the fun stuff happens. So the media remote stuff is when the podcast was turned on and off. So I was playing this Avicenna or Ibn Sina podcast. And I made sure to also play some music from Radio Garden, which were these stations. And actually, it didn't catch the Radio Simon, which is another one that I was playing. And yeah, so all of this was from today, the day that Monday, July 7th, 2024, 2025, and it was recorded here from my computer. And you'll be able to see that all of this stuff. And so yeah, that was knowledgeC.db from what was playing. And when we go over to this one, when we go over to our biome, which is over here, and go to streams and public and now playing local and open with text edit hexfiend and open that with hexfiend and close this down and go down a little bit to the end of this. We also see again, you see Radio Garden, and this actually gets what I had at the end of it, which was Radio Simon, and that was it. And then it shows all of the radio stations that I was playing today before that, as well as the Let's Talk Religion podcast and Where is the Philip Holmes song? Greatest Muslim philosopher. This Philip Holmes song, okay. Okay, well then it doesn't seem to be showing what I have with the song from Philip Holmes, that other things. And so far at the time of recording, I see some possible timestamps here in other places up here, for instance. Like this maybe, and this one too, but I haven't been able to decode them. And some of the tools that I've tried to use haven't given me good results yet on decoding them and making sure what dates the dates actually match the dates that I have or that I play them on. So with that being said, I'm gonna go into something else, maybe school time, screen time request. No, not web usage. App intents to see if so I'm gonna see if the app intents has anything. Has anything that shows that has been played. Okay, so towards the end of things, we're going to see Nasim Subdam. So this is the Philip Holmes song here. So under intents, it will show the intent of a song being played. So with that being said, I think I'm done for now. And I have linked both posts to this in the description. So a post for gathering the unified logs and a post on my blog also for decoding what you see in the unified logs and comparing what you see to what you saw here in this video, which is the knowledgeC database, and the streams of our biome data. So I'll probably end up doing some updates to that post or making an updated post based on what I found in this video. And at this point, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you find data from these data sources and find it useful in your cases. And with that being said, this has been Matt from Forensics with Matt, talking to you about the differences between the biome streams, the knowledgeC DB, and the unified logs in Apple devices. And until next time, Matt out.